Genshin sucks. And I've been playing Genshin for 3 years. Little over 3 years. And I quit in 5.2. Wanna know why I quit in 5.2? Because at that point I've given up. The Genshin I wanted, the Genshin I expected from the get-go, doesn't exist. Never will exist. And the reason why is because people continue to give money to this game, give their time to this game, and refuse to criticize this game. Instead, they rather be like, oh, yes, 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 give us more, give us more. Wow, is that another filler update? Let me have another filler update. Why, thank you. Instead of being like, hey, you're $1 billion company. You make a lot of money. In fact, you have 4 other games out there that also make a lot of money. Why don't you hire some more people and make some more content for your game? Why don't you hire some more people and make it so that an outlet makes sense? Why don't you hire some more people and instead of making us go through a year of filler, allegedly, from rumors I hear, instead of making us go through a year of filler before we even get to Snezhnaya, how about you hire some more people? How about you just release a bunch of content? You're able to do it in your other games. You're able to do it in Zenless Zone Zero. In the recent Zenless Zone Zero livestream, we're basically drowning in content. I'm looking at all these events and stuff, I'm like, holy, how am I gonna have time for that? On top of me going to work. I've been playing Genshin since the 1.8 update with Archipelago Islands. And back when I started that game, I only first heard of it because my mom was playing it. And as usual, I see what my mom is playing and I'm like, ooh, what's that, Mom? She tells me and I'm like, okay. And then I start playing it. Because usually what she plays looks cool. So I just kind of copy and play what she plays and then she eventually, doesn't play the game no more. But my mom... Yes, hi. But I played Genshin and I got deeper into Genshin. And by the time I was caught up with the story, 1.8 and its event with the Archipelago Islands was out. But I was playing the game and I was having a good time, at least at the time. Which might be partly because, I was a young child at the time and it's a bright, colorful game. What child wouldn't love a bright, colorful game with a bunch of little anime characters in it that are all pretty cool looking? Although, looking back on it now, or looking at the characters now, they don't even look half as cool as I thought they looked back in the day. Especially when you compare it to Wuthering Waves and their characters. Like, their characters like Chun-Li, or Jian, or Calcharo, even like the Rovers, there's not even, you can't even compare the two, because the differences are completely wild. It's like trying to compare homemade apple pie to like something bought at the store. There's no comparing it. It's not even a competition at that point. But back on topic, as a young kid, I was enjoying this game. I was playing this game. It was the greatest thing ever. And the fact that it came with updates every 6 weeks, and it had all these colors, and wow, you mix the blue with the red and it makes vaporize. Wow, that's so cool. I've never played a game like that before. And I continued to play the game for 3 years. I quit in 5.2, but for 3 years I was enjoying this game, at least for the most part. Now, I blame myself for part of this, but I used to complain about things like when you're climbing up walls and, you get one of them ledges where it's like, clearly this character should be able to just go up the ledge, but no, because there's a slight little bump there, and for some reason, this character can't just go around this little bump. No, you have to start again and go back to the bottom of this mountain that you just spent like 20 minutes trying to climb. I hate that. That's why I love Wuthering Waves, because they don't make it so you won't have to get to the top and you get one of them ledges and you're just like, oh no, I guess I gotta go to the bottom. No, they just backflip over it, which makes sense. But let's be honest, Genshin's never gonna put in them type of improvements, so there's no point in even, you know, mentioning it. I partly blame myself for not making complaints like that on like the surveys they gave us. Although, knowing what it's like now, they probably never read them surveys. They probably never did. I think the only reason why they buffed Zhongli was because the CN community complained. And if it weren't for that, they probably would have never done anything about Zhongli. Even if it was just this EN community complaining, I feel like they would have never changed anything. But, you know, none of that matters now. I also blame the Huyo creators that I used to watch, because pretty much the only person I ever knew who were making complaints about this game were like M-Tash and Tectone, especially Tectone, which is why I valued his opinion so much, because out of all these other creators, he was the only one even mentioning any of the bad things, and I was like, hey, I agree with that too. But then I'd watch all these other creators who were talking about how good everything was, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe he's exaggerating. You know, it can't be that bad. Now looking back on it, I'm like, man, if only I actually complained a little on them surveys, maybe if I done something, maybe things would have been different. Or heck, even if more of these creators stopped being shills for this company and actually complained about this game and wanted this game to get better, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation where we had 3 polls for 3 years, or where you have your Archon and her best support on the same banner or same phase, and they gave you 20 polls, not for them, for the reruns. Maybe we wouldn't be in this situation if these people complained about things like that. But you know, it's kinda too late now. Y'all have all dug the graves, including me, and now we have to lay in it. Either you play this game and deal with the consequences of your actions, or you leave and be like, well, let's start new. And that's what I did. I left, and I'm starting new. And I was excited. I was excited for where this game was going, because I was like, man, the story's gonna eventually get better. Starting in Samira, I was like, alright, the story's getting better. It was a lot better than Inazuma. Inazuma was a bit of a chaotic mess. But hey, Sumeru wasn't that bad. You know, maybe they made us go through this whole daydream cycle thing. That was annoying, but you know, they gave us some actual decent lore. But then we get to Fontaine, and I'm like, alright, they're still picking up, they're wrapping up. Fontaine's been pretty great. The spectacular ending, still a lot of Yap and a lot of Paimon. I wish Paimon wasn't there. I love that one Dainsley quest where they got rid of Paimon. That felt like heaven. I wish we could continue with that, but you know, why would they do that when they could add Paimon in there, and there they go, extra filler for you to stay in their game longer, which is of course what they want. That's why they make everything so long and exhausting in that game. That way you stay in that game for as long as possible, and they get to have so much filler and give it to people who are looking at their game and be like, hey, look at how many people are playing our game and for how long they're playing. And well, that's because y'all artificially increase the amount of time people are on there. Wuthering Waves knows it don't have to do that, because people will just go into their game and enjoy it. You know, especially when it comes to music. But you can't really enjoy Genshin's music like that, because you'll hear the track and it'll get to the end of the track and then silence. And it's silence for like a long time. It's not like, oh, little 3-second silent. No, it's silent for a long time. And then all of a sudden, oh, here it comes. It's the music again. I've been waiting for this. And then once it's over, it's gone again. Unless you're going to different areas. Then you'll hear, you know, a different soundtrack. But It's the same thing, no matter where you go. And that was one thing I've hated from the very beginning, and one of the things I wish I complained about back when I was still playing this game. But let's just fast forward to timeline after Fontaine's over and no Dainsleif quest to be seen. We get to the point where 4.8 in this Viva Pinata update. At this point, I'm over it. I'm like, wow, cool, Genshin. Y'all still haven't put any improvements from Honkai Star Rail, because, you know, I was playing Honkai Star Rail as well when it came out, and I was like, wow, they don't limit you on the days that you can get materials for your characters. Unlike Genshin, where guess what? If you get this character on like a Wednesday, and their talent materials aren't on like a Saturday, guess what? You're waiting till Saturday, and you just can't use it. And that's so ridiculous. But guess what? Honkai Star Rail didn't change that. Wuthering Waves didn't change that. Zenless Zone 0 didn't change that either. So obviously Genshin's not gonna change that feature. Y'all are just stuck with it now. Maybe y'all should have made them complaints about that forever ago. And once again, I'm also to blame for this. I never made any complaints on them surveys either. I was always like, oh yeah, good update, great update, so good. Everyone else is saying it's good, so it must be good. There's only one guy complaining, you know, maybe he's just being hard on the game. Little did I know, he was telling the truth. And it was a truth I didn't want to see either. Because I was like, this is my favorite game. This is the only game I've enjoyed this much. But here we are now. 4.8 update comes out. I'm hating it even more because I'm like, man, this isn't Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves was so good. This isn't my Wuthering Waves. The whole update is like Viva Pinata and like very colorful, very bright, and I'm like, wow, surely it's only this bright because, you know, the next update with Natlan is gonna be dark, right? Right? No. Natlan was the same thing. They were preparing you in advance for Natlan to be bright and colorful and friendship and love and everything else that was not described to be Natlan. I specifically remember Bennett's little, I think it was character story, where he was talking about how, oh, you know, one of my dads found me in Natlan and it was in like a very dark and dangerous area and there's like volcanoes and fire and it was so dangerous. It's a miracle that I even survived, and it's a miracle that even my dad survived. Where's that place? Because it's not in Natlan. I don't see it nowhere. All I'm seeing is a bunch of little dinosaurs and graffiti and motorcycles. Which, by the way, why does the Archon have a motorcycle? Why on earth is she driving a motorcycle? Like, what roads is she driving this on? Where is she getting the parts for this? It don't make sense. Fontaine is supposed to be the most advanced area. And you could tell, you know, when you go to Fontaine from, like, you know, any of the other nations, it's like, wow, you know, they look so advanced. They look more like our culture. And then you get to Sumeru, and all of a sudden, somehow it's, like, all rocky, and they're using, like, tents and, like, stone and stuff, but they also have motorcycles. They also have roller skates. They have, like, drills. Like, what? Make it make sense. How on earth is this Chaska character riding her gun? That feels something like, you know, not from Natlan. That feels like something that should have been in, like, Fontaine or something. But hey, what do I know? I was just a dumb Genshin player. Not like I know anything about game development or what's possible. Natlan hits. I get in it. I'm absolutely hitting every second. I'm wishing I was in Wuthering Waves. I'm wishing I could run up these walls. I'm sick of these stamina bars. I'm sick of this slow gliding. And I'm getting through this story. I'm trudging through this story. Because I'll be honest, I didn't want to be there. I was like, I'm just gonna push through it. Surely there's something good in this freaking story for me to have a reason to stay. And boy was I wrong. And I'm glad I quit in 5.2. Because what they gave us was basically, oh, here, let's go to the area, the arena where we do our war. And it's like, oh, okay, so maybe they didn't mean war like actual war. But maybe, you know, it's more like a, what are they called? Like a Roman Empire thing where, you know, it's like the lions and stuff. And oh, you gotta fight the lions and to survive. And, you know, if the lion eats you, oh well, you know, everyone's gonna cheer and be like, yeah, go lion. But no, that's not what you get. Instead, it's just people fighting each other for them to choose victors to go into the abyss. And it's like, wow, that's really what I expected from the Land of War. And then even the abyss thing isn't scary because, oh, if you die in the abyss, you just get brought back to life. Like, wow. That really embodies the statement of victors take the glory and losers turn to ash. I didn't see any losers turn to ash. In fact, Kachina, you know, the little stupid child that died there, she was supposed to be, you know, resurrected, and it didn't work. And I was like, wow. How is she the first one? if this is supposed to be a nation of war and losers are supposed to turn to ash and whatever, you can't be like, oh, well, she's the first one to just, like, not come back. And then it don't matter anyways, because they save her anyway, so it's not like, wow, we actually lost a main character. It's like, oh, well, she's back, whoop-de-doo. No sacrifice was made. Had all these characters crying over this character, quote-unquote, dying, and I'm sitting there, yeah, she's not dead. They're not gonna kill a character. They built this character up, and they're not gonna do an anime plot where they actually let the character die. No. She's just gonna somehow resurrect. And they did. They resurrect her. And then, here comes 5.1. And then they make a situation where they bring it into war. Like, oh, here goes the abyss, it's out of control, and ooh, it's getting real intense now. Now you gotta ride this slow-moving balloon to these areas and fight off these enemies because, you know, the abyss is spreading and it's getting wild. And it's like, wow, cool. I rode this balloon to this one area and here's like, I don't know, 100 NPCs that died over there because I didn't say go over there. Woo! I helped these like dinosaurs over here that were already dead, and 1,000 more people died. Wow, so scary, so thrilling to have these characters just die off screen. And you know, it's not like you're riding this balloon and you see the bodies laying everywhere. No, it's like, oh wow, I still just see the grassy view and all the graffiti everywhere, and wow, that's really a scary, sad situation. Just seeing these people fighting and not like a bunch of bodies lying on the ground. Not like they could actually do that. But at that point, I was like, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. I can't do this no more. Yeah, I'm gonna stay for 5.2 and finish the story, and then I'm done. But little did I know, 5.2 wouldn't even have story. 5.2 was basically a filler patch where they just added a new area, and I was like, wow, that's really what we're doing now. Okay, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need this game no more. So I quit, and I'm glad. Especially with the freaking banners and how they're doing people dirty on them banners. I'm glad I quit. Because it's absurd, the fact that they think it's okay to put the Archon and her best support on a banner and give you 20 pulls, but oh no, not for her banner, it's for the reruns coming after her. Have fun with that. And honestly, if I didn't quit because of Wuwa, you know, at that point, I would have at this point, because the fact that they added flying in Withering Waves, that's a true Genshin could never. In fact, Genshin will never. Let's be honest, Genshin will never have flying. And no, Chaska and the Archon don't count. Because that's not flying. That's not true flying. All you're doing basically is gliding. Gliding in a straight line. Until their stamina bar runs out. And guess what? The moment you take them out of Natlin, they're useless. They're as useless as any other flying character. Where they barely get you anywhere. And honestly, you guys brought this upon yourself. They thought they could get away with things like this, so here they are, getting away with things like this. But oh no, out of nowhere, all of a sudden now all these people want to quit the game, or put Genshin on their second channel, or not cover Genshin as much, or start covering other Genshin or Hoyoverse games. But it's too late now. You guys have made this game what it is, and they're not going to change it now. And as someone who has now grown up, opened my eyes and realized gacha games can actually be good. Gacha games can actually have good story. Gacha games can actually care about what the players are saying. Gacha games can actually do better and make their games better. It's just that Genshin didn't want to, because they were making so much money, they didn't need to make anything better. Wanna know why? Because people were eating up them updates. People were enjoying them updates. People were like, oh my gosh, so good. Give me some more of that slop. Give me some more of that filler. Give me more of just plain events and mini games that give me pennies, basically. And once again, I'm partly to blame for this, because I was also one of them children who were eating the updates up, who were enjoying the updates, who were like, yes, let's go, more Genshin updates, more Genshin slop, yum yum. Now look at it. Now look at where it's at. I've grown as a person. In fact, I've grown up literally, but them 3 years that I spent on this game, I will never have back. And that's why, and I say this to everyone, including myself, if you're ever not enjoying a game, if you're ever sick of playing a game, if you're ever sitting there streaming and you're looking at this game, you're like looking annoyed, or you're sick of playing this game, even if it's for money, just quit. Just quit the game. Sunken cost fallacy is a fallacy for a reason. The fact that you feel like you have to keep playing this game because you spent money or time or energy or anything on this game, and you're like, well, I can't quit it now. Yes, you can. Just quit. Just quit. It's called a fallacy for a reason, because it's false. You don't... It's not worth sticking to something you don't like. And that goes for anything. Hobbies, games, not work. Because, you know, people need to make money. If you don't like work, and quitting is pretty much the only way you're going to change that, at least make sure you have, you know, something set in before you actually quit. But work too. Like, I know for me, I'm in kind of a lucky situation where if I don't like what I'm doing, I can move around and do something different for the most part. And, you know, I know everyone don't have a situation like that, but if you do, and you don't like what you're doing, change. And that's something that is more than just games. If there's anything in your life you don't like, change it. But anyway, that's all for me. I just wanted to come over here and rant a bit. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm like, oh, I finally made a channel, so let me rant and get this off my chest. Because, you know, not many people come from the perspective of, well, I was a child playing this, and this is how I felt when playing this game. Mostly because I'm pretty sure most of the kids who are probably like my age now probably aren't content creators, but hey, who knows, maybe I just haven't seen them yet. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. I'll be covering 3.0 for Honkai Star Rail. Speaking of 3.0 Honkai Star Rail, if it's a yap fest like it was in Penacony, you're next on the chopping block, and I will do one of these too, where I talk about my experience with you. Anyway, have a good day.